Hello, my name is Dr. Adejo. Welcome to Coding Keywords, and this is the second live session of our Introduction to Excel course. So, in the first session, we looked at basic introduction to Excel, the workspace, the interface, what Excel is used for, and now we're going to start actual practice by looking at data entry and editing in Excel. So, I'm just going to share my screen immediately. So here I have my screen shared, and we're going straight to module 2. And so we're going to see how to do data entry and editing. So Excel works with data, and we saw that we can use data for a lot of things. But first of all, we have to get our data into Excel. So we're going to look at how to get our data into Excel, how to enter our data, how to ensure that we master using the worksheet to receive our data. So this is really like the basics of Excel. Okay, so first of all, we have to understand that Excel treats data differently depending on what it thinks the data is. So now we're looking at data types, and this is very important. So previously, we're talking about how we use Microsoft Word mainly for things like texts, and we can also add images, we can add charts. So in Microsoft Word, we are creating documents, we're creating articles, we can write a book in Microsoft Word. So we work with different pages. But when it comes to Excel, the focus is data. The keyword is data. And so when we're talking about data, we're not just talking about texts, which is common in Word. We're also talking about numbers. We're talking about dates. We're talking about data in a structured format. So data types is very important when it comes to Excel. So a number is different from a text. So when we're talking about text, we're talking about maybe letters or words or characters. Could also have numbers as well. So text is different from numbers and also different from dates. And also we have booleans. Okay, so we need to know what type of data are we dealing with? What are the properties? So it's very important that this is specified in Excel. We're going to see how that is done. Okay, so we talked about text. So text refers to names, categories, codes. It just refers to language, how we name things, how we categorize things, how we create codes. So remember, when we're creating codes, we can have both alphabets and numbers in the code. But the fact that we have numbers in the code does not mean that that code is a number. Okay, so we have to understand what text is. Text is very common, whether it's programming or Excel. Then we have numbers. Numbers, of course, we're dealing with quantities, prices, scores. So we have numbers that can have decimals, and then we have numbers that are integers. So when we're counting, say we want to count the number of people, we're talking about integers. But when we're measuring, so we want to measure temperature, we're talking about numbers that can have fractional parts or decimals. Okay, and then we also have dates and time, very important. So text, numbers, dates, and time are very important in Excel. And then we have to understand how to work with these different data types. And then we have the Boolean as well. So the Boolean is true or false, true or false. So sometimes we have only two options for a particular category. And in that case, we can use the Boolean data type. Excel calculations only work correctly when data types are correct. If you miss your data types, then you're going to have issues with Excel. So we have to ensure that we get that right. Okay, so now let's just have a look at, let's demonstrate a bit. So I'm going to do my practice in this part. Let me just confirm that everything is fine in the stream. Okay, so everything is fine. Please, if there are any issues or you want to communicate with me, please type type in the text. All right, so I'm going to work, and let me just go to cell L3. So this is L3. Remember, if you look at the name box, this is L3. And so I'm going to type a text there. I'm just going to type hello. Okay. And then I'm going to M3 and I'm going to type a number there, 6. So if you look very well, you would see that they are presented differently. Okay, so hello is left aligned and then 6 is right aligned. So by default, texts are left aligned in Excel and then numbers are right aligned. Okay, and then when you look at it, you also see that when you check the alignments, you see that it's not explicit. It's not explicit. So I can come over here, make it left aligned, make it central aligned, make it right aligned, but there's no alignment setting here. Okay, but by default, Excel receives what it sees as a text and aligns it to the left, and what it sees as a number, it aligns it to the right. So that's one way of knowing how Excel is understanding the data we have entered. So today's date is 22nd of January 2026. Okay, so can we see this? Can we see this? So I've just entered the dates and I use this slash to separate the day from the month. And you can see that Excel aligned it to the right. So that just gives us a hint, that dates are considered as numbers in Excel. Dates are considered as numbers in Excel. Okay, so we just move ahead. And then, yes, so this is what I talked about, the alignments for text and numbers. And then also, we also have to understand how dates auto format. So we have different formats of dates in Excel. Okay, so we can have the way I wrote it. Now let me write it a bit differently. You see that, right? So you see these formats, you see these formats. I can write it in several ways. All right, so we see the different formats for dates in Excel. So we have to understand this and we'll be able to work well with our data types. Okay, so next up, we're going to look at data entry. Okay, so what we have done so far is single cell data entry. So here, let me go to this cell. This is L11, and I'm just going to type Thursday. So I am typing in a single cell. I'm typing a single cell. So that's just one of the basic ways to enter data. And then overwriting cell contents. So I already have Thursday in L11. So I can come over to L11, click on that. And then if I type something else, say I type Friday, it overwrites what was there before. So if you have a cell in Excel and it has some content, if you click on it, so I just click on it once and I start typing, it overwrites, removes what was there before, and then takes what I've just typed in. So also to take note of the fact that when you are on a particular cell, the data will reflect in the formula bar here. So I can also come to the formula bar and then overwrite it that way. Okay, so these are things that we would master as we keep practicing in Excel. Okay, next up is using the Enter, Tab, and arrow keys. Of course, we use that to, so I'm using the Enter key now to go down. I'm using the right arrow key to go right. Also the Tab key now to still go right. The left arrow key to go left. And in terms of entering our data, so say for example, I want to, now let me, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to highlight column L and then just press delete. That clears up what was there. And let's say I want to start from L3 and I want to enter the days of the week. So I have Monday, I use the enter to go down. Tuesday, I use enter again to go down, and so on and so forth. So if I want to go right, I use the tab key. If I want to go left, I use the back arrow key. So these are things that we would master over time. These are just the basics. Okay, then we have multi-cell selection and entry. So I can have more than one cell, like I have a range, this L3 to L5. So I can select everything. So I take my mouse, start with L3, highlight down to L5, and then I can do my Control C to copy, and then I can come over here. Now this is L13, and I can paste. I can go to, this is P9, okay, and I can paste. So you can do single cell entry. You can also do multi-cell entry as well. Now look at this. I can take, um, so currently L3 to L5 is still highlighted. You can see it's highlighted. That was what I copied, it's still highlighted. So once I click somewhere else, double click, it doesn't become highlighted again. So I copy from L3 to L5, Control C, it's highlighted. If I click once, it's still highlighted. I can paste. But once I double click like I did, it doesn't become highlighted. Another way um, to prevent it from being highlighted is just for me to press escape. So I just press escape on my keyboard now. So I can come over here and I can copy, this is L13. I just copy Monday and then I can highlight 5 times. This is from N10 to N14 and then I can paste. You see, I pasted Monday several times. Okay, just using Control C and Control V. So like I said, you're going to get used to it. So let me just clear all of this. Another thing to note is that we have under the Home tab, we have the clipboard where you can do your copy, your paste, and, and even cutting as well. All right, so yes, so this is what we just talked about, Control C and Control V, and then we have space paste special. So there are times when you don't want to just use Control V to paste. You just use paste special just to paste the values. And this is usually when you have something like a style or you have a formula in a cell. Okay, so say for example, let me come over to L3. This is L3, and let me say hello. Okay, so I have hello there, and then I'm going to put some styling. So to put some styling, I'm going to come over the home and this font command area, and then I'm going to put, say, blue background for the cell, and then I'm going to put so I'm going to put okay, this bar okay, this brown is not so sharp. Okay, so let me use different backgrounds here. Okay, so I use this red background for the cell, and I'm going to use, yeah, so I use this blue background. Sorry, I use the blue color for the text. So you see, I have hello here, but not only do I have hello as the content of this cell, I also have some style applied to it. So if I want to copy both the the text and the style, I go over there, do Control C, and then I can come over here. This is N3 and do Control V. I'm copying both the content and the style. If I want to copy only the content, okay, so it's still highlighted, it's still copied. Then I move over to the Home tab and to this paste command area. I click on this drop down and then I go to paste values and I click just paste values. Okay, sorry, I'm coming over to here, L6, and then paste values. So you see, here I am pasting only the content. I'm not adding the style as well. So something very important to catch here, and that's that the fact that when you look at a particular cell in Excel, you don't only consider the data, you don't only consider the content, you're also checking the style and you're checking other things like the formula. And then you're also taking note of the cell address as well. So for every cell in Excel, there are lots of properties around it that you have to take note of. Very important. Okay. Just to check and be sure that the live session is still going on well. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to highlight everything and still have my style there. Okay. So I want to remove the styling. So I can just go to my preferred style, which is just this one. And then I can come over to the Home tab and this Format Painter command. And you can see I have this brush. I can come over here and then I can apply the styling to where I click on the brush. Okay. So, and then we also have the leading spaces. These are now issues. So when we're entering our data, we have to be observant of things like leading spaces. And sometimes we copy our data from somewhere else and paste it in Excel. There might be some extra spaces. Now, what does that mean? So, for example, I can type hello here without any leading space. And then over here, I have press the space key a bit and then I type hello. So you can see I've got some spaces here. This is not about alignment. This is about having some spaces before it. And we have to take note of that. These are some of the issues that we can encounter during data entry. We also have inconsistent capitalization. Okay, so I type Monday here, and then here I type Tuesday, and then here I have Wednesday. We can see this is supposed to be an entry for days of the week, and we have inconsistent capitalization. So these are some of the things we should consider when we are entering data. We also have mixed formats in one column. We're going to see that shortly. And then we have our first practice for today. So please send comments. Send comments just in case you want to pass any information across to me. You have any contribution or you have any question, please write in the comment section. All right, so first we're going to our data set 2A. So I'm just going to come over to this um, sheet here. This is data set 2A, and I'm just going to copy it and then paste it. So I did Control C there, and I'm just going to do Control V. Okay, so before I do Control V, now we have experienced something. What we've experienced is that columns are the columns have long data. The column headings, okay, our full name, okay, so that's like long data. And because the cell has a very small width, it's giving me this issue. So you see, especially row two has been increased in its height. Row 2 is increasing its height. We also have that issue with row 6 and row 7, and that's because we have contents in that row. We have contents that are too big for the width of the cell that we provided for. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do Control Z. Okay, so Control Z had an issue, and that's because other things were highlighted. So I just click on an empty cell, and then I do Control Z just to come back, and then I'm just going to provide some extra space before I paste. Okay, so I just provide some extra space because I know I'm expecting, okay, and I just zoomed out. Okay, so I just zoomed out so that I can have more space. So these are some of the things we can do when we're working in Excel just to master our control of it. So I'm going to come back here. Okay, so it's still copied, as I can see it's highlighted. Then I'm going over here, and then I'm coming over to L1, and then I paste. So you see, now this is better. This is better. I didn't have that issue that I had before. So this data set 2A is employee directory, and this is just the raw entry. So we're going to use it for our exercise. So I'm just adjusting this a bit. I'm adjusting it a bit. And as you can see, I copied from one sheet here, and you can see that the text are left aligned, the dates right aligned, and the number right aligned as well. Okay, so yes, first of all, we have to identify which columns contain text, numbers, and dates. So text is in this column here. So this is full name column and department column. The date is on the start date column, and then the number is on the salary column. Okay, so next up we have to change the salary to currency format. All right, so we're going to do a bit of formatting of our data type now. So we have to change this to currency format. So I'm going to select the column. So you can select the column just by clicking on the column letter. And then I can right click. So I select and then I right click. When I right click, I have the options here, and I'm going to format cells. And then I'm just going to move these format cells here. So I have my format cell, and then I'm going to select number and then I'm going to select currency. So this is how I'm changing it to currency format. So I have extra um, extra settings to make here, so I can have make it have two decimals, or I can make it have no decimals. Let me make it have two decimals, and then I have the symbol because it's a currency. So we have the pound there, we have the dollar. So let me just go with the pound, and then I click on OK, and you can see that. So now let me do Control Z. When I do Control Z, just observe, I select column O and then look over here. This is the home tab, and this is the number. This is the number command area, and you can see that currently it's general. Okay, so then I do right click, I click on format cells, and then currency. This time around, let me just go with dollar. Um, okay, so I just go with the dollar, and then I click on OK. And then look over here again. You see, it's now currency. All right, so now let me come over here, select this text column, and you look at it. This is general. This also is general. Now this is supposed to be a date, but it's general. So I can go over, right click, format cells, and format it as a date, or I can come over here and just click on this small arrow here around this number section. I can click on that and then format it as a date. Okay, so I can just go and format it as a date. So now when you click on column N, you see now is a date, and you see this is the currency. Okay, so this is very important. Setting the data types. When you paste your data, when you enter your data in your worksheet, it's always good to set the data types so that Excel receives the data in the columns and in the cells in the right format, and that's the best way you can get um, the best of Excel. Okay, all right. So the next thing was to confirm that dates align correctly and are recognized as dates. So we've done that. We've done that. So just a quick check in the chats. Quick check in the chats, and everything is fine. Okay, so we're going to our next lesson. So in our next lesson, we're looking at editing, clearing, and deleting. Okay, so we're still going to work with these data sets, data set 2A, and let me see if I can make it slightly bigger in appearance. Okay, and just going to, okay, so I'm going to delete that. Just zoom out again. All right, so all right. Okay, so we had copied our data set from another sheet over here, and then if we want to edit a few things, let's say I want to change Sophia Lee from Sophia Lee to Sophia David, what would I do? It means I want to edit. It means I want to change the content of the cell. So Sophia Lee, let me click on it. Sophia Lee is in L4, so I want to edit it. So what I will do is I'll double click. So clicking once selects the cell, double clicking puts the control there for me to change, to edit the cell. So I can come over here, use my backspace, delete Lee, and type David there. You see, that's how to edit. I can come over here, double click. So double clicking does the job. So I can come over here and change this from marketing to sales. So if you want to edit a cell, we should double click. So at this point, what I'll say is that we have quite a lot of things to do for different actions in Excel. Now, don't strive or don't make it a goal to cram all the different rules. For example, double click to do this, use this arrow to do this, or wherever, click on this to do this. Rather, practice. So just keep practicing. keep practicing. As you keep practicing, you will perfect and master the use of Excel or any other tool. Okay, so next, okay, we're now dealing with our data set 2B. We're going to deal with data set 2B. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight this and okay, so I don't want to delete this. I don't want to delete this. So I'm just going to um, select this and then I click on insert sheet columns. Okay, so you see what happens is it has inserted sheet columns for me, some extra columns, um, and it's inserted new columns um, in the same number as the number of columns I selected. Okay, so let me create more. All right, so I've done this. I've created a little bit more. So I've shifted that to the right just in case we want to do anything with it again. We have it to the right. And that's because I'm going to paste a new data set here. So if I scroll to the right, you can see the old data set there. So I'm going over to exercise 2 and I'm copying the data set 2B. So I just do my Control C and then I come over here and I paste it. Okay. Um, all right, this is fine. It extended it a bit for me, but I'm okay. All right, so correct capitalization in category column. So this is category column. All right, so I'm going to correct the capitalization. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to have to double click. Okay, so I double click on there and then click on the exact area where I want to correct the capitalization and I make it capital letter. I'm doing the same thing here. Double click on it. And then for this one, I'm going to click on this and then come over to the formula bar and then um, click on where I want to correct the capitalization, and I've done that. So now we get to see that you can either double click and then move to where you want to edit, or you can click once and go to the formula bar. So one thing you would also know is that just like in other Microsoft Office tools and in other software generally, there are usually several ways to do a particular activity. So you just have to familiarize yourself with the different ways of doing things like what we just saw. Now, replace the text 10 with the correct numeric value. So where's the text 10? So just in case we have a large data set and you don't know where that 10 is, which is what you're trying to find, you can just do Control F. When you do Control F, you have this find and replace. So we click on 10 because we're trying to find 10 and I click on find next. And it has identified 10 on L1, and that's because I have intentional. So it picked that 10 there, but that's not what I want. I go to find next, and there you go. This is the 10 we're looking for. All right, so we've learned Control F. So we have 10 here, and so we have to replace it with the correct numerical value. Now you can see this is column N, and it's supposed to have quantity. We have these ones in numbers, and we have this in text. The text is left aligned, the numbers are right aligned. So that's one way to check whether Excel is seeing a particular entry either as a text or a number. We saw that. So I'm going to double click and change this from 10 in text to 10 in number. So we're doing edits, and then this is also like data cleaning. So we're cleaning our data. Okay, so next up, remove the currency symbol from unit price. All right, so here you go. We have this unit price column, and then all the entries were in just numbers except what we have here, O6. So I can come here, double click, and we see when we have this dollar sign here, Excel identified it as a text. That's why it's left aligned. So I just remove the dollar sign and then I have all numbers there. Okay, so this is unit price, but I don't want it in a currency format. Okay, so next up is ensure all quantity and unit price values are numeric. How are we going to do that? So quantity and unit price, they all look like they are numeric, okay? And then of course Excel is seeing them as numbers and it's right aligning them. But we need to look at the data um, formats. And so we're going to just look over here and we see that it's general. So even though they are numbers, it's still set as the general format. So all I have to do is just select column N and O. So I just click on N and then drag to the left, select N and O as you can see highlighted, and then I can right click and use format cells, or I can just click over here on this number formats arrow, and then I go to number, and then I don't want decimals. So I'm going to remove the decimals, and then I'm just going to use the comma separator. So just in case I have very large numbers, it's going to be separated in thousands, and I click on OK, and there you go. Now we can see it's formatted as number. Okay. So next up is to clear the contents, remove the data. Okay. So to clear the contents, I can select everything. Okay. So I select everything and I just press delete. That clears everything. Okay, so just press delete, everything is cleared. All right, so I still have the cells there. The cells were not deleted, but the contents have been removed. Now to delete the cells, I have to select everything as I've selected, and then I click on, okay, so what I'm going to do is, okay, so like, and then I right click, so I select the entire cells. So this range down from L1 to O7, and then I click on delete cells. And then when I delete cells, look at what's happening. It's going to ask me whether to shift the cells left, shift them up, entire row or entire column. So we're going to see that. Let me just click on cancel for now. All right, so let's see what's next. All right, so what's going to happen is I'm going to do a control Z. Okay, so I cleared the cell. So now two different things. Clearing the cells just removes the contents. Deleting does something different. So we're going to see the difference between clearing the cells and deleting. Okay, so I'm doing Control Z. Yes, so I had to do a bit of some Control Z to get my data back. So Control Z helps to undo. Remember, I selected the cells and pressed delete to clear them, to remove everything. So now I'm doing Control Z. I did Control Z to restore it back. All right, so now let's come over here. And I'm going to work on cell L6. So I click on it once. Okay, so if I want to edit, I double click on it twice. But I just click on it once. So I click on it once and then I press delete. That cleared the content of L6. Clear the content of L6. Okay, so now let me do Control Z. And then I'm going to come here, select, click once on L6 to select it, and then right click, and then not clear contents now, but delete. Okay, so now in deleting, watch what happens here. I'm going to shift cells up. So I'm going to shift cells up and I click on OK. So can you see what happened? I deleted the content there and then shifted what was below it up to that place. Okay, so now we see the difference between clearing and deleting. What I also want to say is that you will be able to find a link in the charts and also in the description for this file, so you can download it from Google Drive and also practice along as well. So I'm just going to do a Control Z. So we just saw the difference between clearing content and deleting, and we just need to know what we need to do and use the right command. And like I said, with practice, we're going to see how it works. All right, so now if I want to delete this column, I select the column. So you have to select first, and then I'm going to right click and I'm going to delete. So you see that column is deleted. So I'm going to do Control Z. And then if I want to delete this, how do I know the row? I can look over here and see that is row 3, or I can see 3 highlighted here. So I can select 3, and then my mouse has to be there, I right click and delete. And you can see that row is deleted. So I just do Control Z so that I can have the laptop row back. Okay, so that's how to delete rows and columns. All right, so we have our practice here. Clear the content of one salary cell. Okay, that should be for the other data sets. Okay, let me see. We don't have the, all right, so that's over here. Clear the content. So like we did, we just click on it once to select and then click on delete. Okay, so it's kind of tricky because we use the delete key on our keyboard to clear. Okay, so don't worry, you get used to it. I think you can also click on it once and um, okay, the backspace as well. Okay, so you can use the delete key or the backspace and it does the job. All right, so next up, we are going to delete the entire row of one employee. Okay, we've done that. So we're working on data set 2A now. So I can click on Sophia David and then highlight the row, that's row 4, and then right click and delete. So that's helps me delete it. Now you can see that I have two data sets side by side. When I deleted the row on this one, it affected this one as well. So you should be very careful. Be very careful. You should have control over your data set so that something doesn't get deleted that you're not aware of. Excel has to do with being um, Excel has to do with um, having good attention to detail because it deals with data. You don't want to lose your data. All right. So next up is to observe the difference in work structure. Okay. So of course it looks different when we delete and clear. Okay. And then we use undo and restore. Okay. So we just do Control Z, and then that restores back our data set. Okay. We still need to restore. So you see it's moving. It's moving. All right. So Control Z again restores that. For us, it's a quick check. Okay, we're still fine on the stream. Okay, all right. So yes. So we are done with that lesson. Next up, we're going to autofill. All right. So autofill in Excel is just about how we're able to fill up our cells or fill up our rows or columns based on some conditions or patterns or rules. All right, so we will be doing that. All right, so we use that field to copy values. So we can use the field to copy values. We can use it to create sequences, whether numbers, dates, days of the week, months. We're going to demonstrate that soon, and then even lists. Okay, so we have drag, and then we also have double click. All right, so I'm going to select these columns and then right click and insert just to create space for us to work. Um, okay, so I'm going to do that again. Right click and insert. So like we saw, when you're working practically in Excel, this may not be the best thing to do because as you keep creating your data set side by side, you could do one operation like we saw, like the row delete operation, and it will affect the other ones. So it's usually better you move maybe your data sets to another sheet if you're not working with them at that point in time. Okay, so we're over here and then let's see what we mean by our field. Okay, so now let's watch this. If I have Monday on this cell, this is cell L3, and then I want to fill a lot of cells under it with the same, okay, no, Monday will not be the right thing, what to use. Let me say hello, okay, and I want to create copies of this hello down. All I need to do is come over to the bottom right of the cell here. So I come over to the bottom right of the cell and then I drag it down. So this is dragging. So I come over to the bottom right and I drag, and you see I have hello here. So I don't have to keep typing hello so many times repeatedly. All I need to do is just type it once and then drag. So this is one way to fill. So I have filled all these cells. I have filled them using that feature. Okay. So that's to take note of. All right, so let me come over to this extra sheet here. So in this extra sheet, I have some extra tips. Okay, so drag gives you control over how Excel fills, while double click automatically fills down to match the adjacent data. All right, so we can also do fill using double click. We have just seen how to do it using drag. We've just seen how to do it using, okay, drag. All right, so we have some people who just joined. Okay, so if you're just joining, this is data entry and editing module 2 on our introduction to Excel class. So please, I want you to drop some comments in the chats. So just let us know what you're learning, what new thing you're learning, and if there are any issues or questions, please just let me know. This video will be available. It's going to be available for you to watch again after. Okay. And then apologies, there's a little bit background noise. I hope it's not so loud enough because I'm working quite early in the morning and there's a bit of background noise which I can't avoid now. So apologies for that. All right, so we just saw how to fill by dragging. Okay, so next up we're going to see, okay, yes. Now on M3, I'm going to do something different. So I have 1, I have 2, I have 3, and I want to continue that sequence. All I need to do is highlight what I've added so far, and then the same drag, I go over to the bottom right and I drag down, and you see I've been able to create the sequence. In the same way, I can create a sequence for days of the week. So I have Monday here. I think just with Monday, I can drag down, and you see I have Monday to Sunday, and then it starts all over on Monday again. So this is what we mean by fill, auto fill. So it fills automatically. It fills automatically. All right. So looking at the different fill options. Okay, so we're going to work with our data set 2B now. So we have to create a new column called employee ID. All right, so that's our data set 2B. Okay, so now I'm going to have to do something here. So what I'm going to do is a little bit of manipulation. So I'm going to select these cells like this, and then right click and insert. Okay, so I right click and insert. All right, and then I'm going to get my 2B here. So let me just go to, yes. Oh, no, this is not a clean 2B. Remember, we've cleaned 2B. So I'm just going to come over here and copy my 2B, cleaned with the formats, and then I'm going to paste it. And that's just because I want to have the data set side by side with the instructions here. So in your own case, you can have your data set starting from A1. Okay, so I'm using Excel both for the lesson, and that's why I have to adjust this way. Okay, so I have to create a new column called employee ID on our data set 2B. I want to be sure that this is the right data set. Employee ID. Okay, let me see. Next up, we do enter. Okay, and use autofill. All right, so um, okay, so I'm just going to check my other data sets and just see. Okay, so I'm thinking that I need to work with this data set instead. Okay, this is the one that has, oh, sorry, data set 2A. All right, so it's data set 2A, so there's a mistake that I have to correct. All right, so working with data set 2A. So now what do I do? All right, so it's good we encounter this issue. We'll see how to do corrections in Excel. This is still selected. So first thing I'm going to do is just press escape. It's no more selected. I don't want any issues. So I press escape, and then I'm going to come over here. If you recall very well, all I just need to do is select everything and backspace. Okay, backspace didn't do the job, so it's delete. Oh my. Okay, select everything and then delete. That clears everything. Okay, so to clear everything is delete. All right, so I come over here and then I'm copying my data set to A. So you see, as you keep working with Excel, some things will just come to you subconsciously. Subconsciously, you may not even know that you knew them. All right, so I'm going to do Control Z, create a bit more space because I don't want too large two high rows, and then I'm going to paste. Okay, so I'm having a bit of back and forth here with my, and that's what happens in Excel. You're dealing with data. Quite a lot of times you have to keep adjusting your columns, adjusting your rows, and this is what you perfect with practice. All right, so I'm going to come here and we're supposed to create a new column, but we're not told where to put the column. We've been doing this creating of columns. So all I have to do is I want a column beside column L so that I have the employee ID beside the name. So I'm going to select M and then right click and insert. Okay, so I'm just going to call this employee ID. And one thing you see is the same style has been applied here. Okay, so created the employee ID, and now we have to enter ID dash 001 and then ID dash 002. Okay, so I've done that. And then next up is use autofill to complete the series. Okay, so I select the two, come over here and drag it down. And as you can see, Excel has done it for me. So I don't have to keep typing for several entries. So we've seen how to use our autofill for our numbers, sequence of numbers, days of the week. We can use it for dates. We can use it for months as well. Okay, so next we have to create a column with months starting from January. Create a column with months starting from January. Okay, so let me just do that here. Or, okay, so just create a bit of space and then let me just do this. And then I'm going to call this months. It starts with January, and then let's see, dragging it down so you can see just by the right, you can see the updates of where I am, and then I stop in December. Okay, and right, so one more thing, let me do something with dates. Okay, so today's date is, forgot it again. Okay, 22nd of January 2026, and then let me make this 23rd of January 2026, and let me drag it down. Can you see that? Can you see that? Okay, I've got an issue because it filled it up for me nicely, but then when it was okay, yeah, sorry, I thought we were in February. Okay, so I keep moving and it did it. Yeah, so it went all the way from 22nd of January all the way to 31st of January, and then it moved over to 1st of February. Excellent. So we have to learn these shortcuts and these features in Excel, which makes Excel very powerful so that we save our time when we're doing our data entry. So please let me know in the comment section if there are any new tips you are finding or discovering in Excel, or some other tip you want us to know about in Excel. There are lots of tips, there are lots of features, and Excel is so powerful when it comes to working with data. Okay, so next up we're moving over to, okay, we've done autofill, and then we're moving over to flash fill. Flash fill. So we're going to look at flash fill, and this is where we use Excel's pattern recognition feature based on examples to be able to fill our spaces. And okay, let's look at that. All right, when does it work well and when does it not work well? When does it fail? Okay, all right. So we have tips. So let me go to the extra sheet here. So now flash fill works well when yeah, okay. So flash fill helps us to decide a pattern by looking at repeated text positions or delimiters or capitalization or character types. And it fails when the pattern changes or when the data is inconsistent or logic is conditional. Okay, so what's happening is flash fill needs at least a clear example, but works best with two. All right, so now we have looked at autofill. And when we're doing autofill, what happened was that we were able to generate a pattern ourselves and then drag down and apply it. So with flash fill, we're going to use Excel's pattern recognition feature. So what happens is Excel is able to recognize a pattern, and then it generates or fills the cells for us. We can use it to split data. We can use it. Okay, so we're going to use it for our next data set, which is 2C. Okay, and then um, we have this instruction here. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert new columns. Okay, insert sheet columns, and then I'm going to my exercise sheets, and I copy my data set 2C here, which I'm going to use for the flash fill, and then oh, so having the same issue. Okay, so now don't don't get confused when you have issues like this. Now I pasted this. I always have this problem. I pasted it, and you see, it's giving me what I don't want, and then I'm trying to, and then it's giving me that sound to tell me there's an issue. So all I just need to do is just go over to an empty cell and do Control Z. So whenever you're stuck, just try and find an empty cell where there's no issue or anything, and do Control Z. If you're still having issues, then press Escape. That might work. If you're still having issues, then try to probably just go to the formula bar, just go somewhere, press Escape, do Control Z, and then go over where you did your last, like copy operation. For example, I copy from exercise 2. You need to go back, maybe press Escape just to be sure. Check the formula bar. These are some of the troubleshooting tips in Excel. So I've got two cells and I'm copying from here. So I go back, copy again, and then I'm just going to create a bit more space. When I have a bit more space, it won't create some rows with unnecessary heights. So I create the space. I have two columns and I paste it, and you see this is better off for me. Okay, so what am I supposed to do? So I'm going over to, okay, over here. All right, so now I'm to extract the first name into column C. Okay, so um, what's happening here is that I'm using up all these columns for the lesson. So I'm not going to do that on column C, but I'm going to do it on column N. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and then create a bit of space. So I need the first name. So what am I going to do? I'm going to type the very first name for the first entry here, the first row record here, which is Emma. So I'm just going to type Emma. So I've typed Emma, and then I'm coming over here, and then I type Liam. Okay, so you see, as I'm typing Liam, can you see that Excel's pattern recognition system is observing what I'm doing? And then when I just do Control E, sorry, Control E. Okay, sorry, not Control E now. I think that will be Enter. Yes. So if you observe what happened, I want to extract the first name from this full name column. So I'm coming over here, and then I just start typing. Okay, so let me do it again. Come over here, and then I just start typing. So I type the first one. Excel is still not sure. I start typing the second one, and Excel observes the pattern and gives me a hint in a faint style here. And all I just do is press enter, and it fills it up for me. Okay, so that's the flash fill. You give Excel the pattern, and then it builds it up for you. Okay, in the same way, we can do that for the last name. So I want you to do that. And then we also have the email. So let's look at the email and see if that would work. So we're coming to the email. Let's see if Excel is smart enough. And then I type Emma. So you see the difference. Emma with a capital E beginning is for the full name. So I'm typing all small caps. And then can you see that it has spotted that I'm dealing with the email and not the full name, and then I just press enter and it's done it for me. Now let's see if it's going to be able to help me do that on um, okay, on the okay, the company is, and this is company. Let me say this is admin, and then okay, all right, and then I'm just going to come over here and type company, and then company here. Okay, probably didn't spot it because these two are styled a bit differently. So what am I going to do? I'm going to just select these two. How do I select it? I'm having a bit of issue, so I just select up and then use the down arrow key, come over here, do shift down to select the two, and then right click. I want to remove the hyperlink. So I've removed the hyperlink. So you see, because it's an email and I worked on it, I edited it, it created it as a hyperlink. So what I want to do is track to see if it will be able to extract this admin for me. So just working with the flash fill, it takes a while to perfect it. So I have company here and then I have company. Oh, it didn't get it. Okay. All right. So let me see. Probably because I'm not beside. So let me come beside. So I'm just trying, to see company. Then I do Control E. Okay. It didn't note it. It didn't note it. All right. So we worked with the email username, extract email domain. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to do. All right, so re-enter dataset 2A from scratch, check for no spelling errors, check for record for correct alignment. So where you are expected to do, what you're expected to do is come over and then start typing this dataset 2A. So type it from the scratch and ensure that you don't have errors in your spelling or the alignment. So we've done quite a lot. And so we're moving over to our very last lesson. And here we have been able to look at the practice parts where we did data entry, which involves typing. So it involves typing, it involves all kinds of manipulations, working on the cell. Sometimes you have to clear, sometimes you have to delete, sometimes you have to create a new column, sometimes you have to create a new row, all kinds of things you do whilst doing your data entry and editing. So we've done that. So now we're just going to wrap up this session. So we're going to wrap up this session and we're looking at some of the common errors. Okay, so some of the common errors is when you have numbers stored as text. You have a number, but it's stored as a text. You have to set the right format so that your calculations can work well. Inconsistent capitalization, like we saw, mixed symbols with numbers, also like we saw. These are some of the issues you should check out for when you copy data from somewhere into Excel to do analysis or to work on, or when you're doing your data entry. Very important. This is like the foundation. Before you do anything in data in Excel, you need the data. So the data has to be entered first. The data has to be received. After that, then you can start your manipulation, your analysis, your presentation. Okay, so deleting cells instead of clearing contents. We saw the difference between clearing and deleting. Very important to take note of that so that you don't delete when you should just clear. Okay, so we saw how it's you can shift from the surrounding cells when you delete. All right, so now it's time for tips. So I'm just going to give some tips now just to guide you on your Excel journey. Number one, as with everything you learn, whether it's coding or whether it's languages, like you want to learn Chinese or Hindu or Spanish, sports, you want to play sports, you learn Excel by practicing, just like every other thing. There's no shortcut. You just have to practice, not just by memorizing rules or by trying to copy what another person is doing, okay, without understanding. You just have to practice. You just have to practice. Very important. So I also say that even though AI is available, yeah, because someone will say, oh yeah, AI is available. Now, if AI is available to support you, but you need to understand what the tool you're using is and how AI can help you. So you need to understand Excel first, understand what it does, understand um, how you use it, understand the application. You need to know the basics of Excel before you can best use AI to help you in Excel. So it's important that you understand the fundamentals and the basics. Now, AI helps you better when you know what you want to do. Okay, so you've got to know what you want to do. You've got to know, okay, I want to do this operation in Excel, and then you can use an AI tool like Microsoft Copilot or like ChatGPT. You can use it, or like Gemini, you can use them. You can send prompts that will guide you on how best to use it. Now, this in this course, we're going to have bonus classes on AI because, of course, we should use AI, but we are just dealing with the fundamentals now, the very, very basics. Okay, so now if you are good in something, AI can help you do it better or faster. Don't replace your originality completely for AI. So AI helps you when you're already doing something. It helps you to do it better or do it faster. But you have to be in control, knowing what you want to do. So AI, should assist you a lot of times. It should be like a support tool. If you are not good in something or don't know, you won't know how to maximize AI. That's the truth. Okay, so that's also applies to when you're learning coding and you're trying to use AI. Make sure you learn the basics. Okay, so learn the basics of anything and then use AI. So it's a combination. So what you do is at the beginning, try to learn the basics, try to learn the fundamentals like we have been doing. It takes practice, it takes time, it takes a lot of patience. You learn the basics, you learn the rules of the tool, you work with it, and then you move over to using AI to support you in what you're doing. All right, so we're having a hint about our next class. Our next class is going to be basic formatting and calculations. All right, so moving from the data entry and data editing, and we're moving over to basic formatting and calculations. So that brings us to the end of today's class. And I want to thank those who joined. Thank you very much for joining. This has been 1 hour so far of data entry and editing in Microsoft Excel. Excel for absolute beginners. That has been what we've been doing so far. So this has been module 2. In module 1, we looked at introduction to Excel, uses of Excel, and then the Excel interface as well. Now in module 2, we have looked at data entry and editing. In module 3, which will be a live session that will come up very soon, either tomorrow or next tomorrow, we're going to have basic formatting and calculations in Excel. So I'd like to encourage you to practice, and I want to encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to Coding Keywords. Here at Coding Keywords, we look at tech. We look at tech, and you know, we see that tech has to do with how computers have become a part of our everyday lives, even in things like phones and all of that, smart gadgets, AI, IoT, and all of that. So we look at tech and we see how we can break it down by giving you the fundamentals. So we tell you the keywords, we tell you what's important. We guide you to be able to, connect into tech easily. So we do um, um, trainings which are available on YouTube. Also, we have a Telegram channel. So we do trainings, and our trainings cover the technical aspects like coding, Python, JavaScript, Java, and all of that. That's the technical aspect. We also do analysis, where we do data analysis, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all of that. We also do branding or design, things that have to do with like Canva. We do life and logistics, and also entrepreneurship as well. So everything related to tech. So it's a full suite, and we offer trainings. Okay, so I want you to subscribe to this channel. I want you to stay connected. We have lots of videos, we have shorts. So just in case you want to just learn some of the non-technical aspects of tech, like data analysis for everyday life, I want you to check out our short videos. And I also want you to check our longer training videos. We have a playlist on Excel, which is what you're watching. We also have a playlist on data analysis fundamentals using AI and other tools. I want you to stay connected to this channel. We have lots and lots of resources. I want you to communicate with us in the chat. So tell us what new thing you've learned. And this is a community. So please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for being part of our live session today, and see you in the next live session. I remain Dr. Adejo, and this is Coding Keywords. Bye. Thanks a lot.